Robbie, we're back.
We are.
Another episode of The ExStreamists.
Yep.
We're doing, this time around, The Mandalorian, Season 3.
Season 3.
After show, post-show recap, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
We've been doing The Last of Us. Last of Us is winding down. So now, what better place to go is The Mandalorian. And who better to talk Star Wars than our special guest host, who did an amazing episode with us on our other podcast, Still Holds Up, where we did the prequels, episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
But our main man, Joey, who is, not only he's a wine connoisseur, he's a Star Wars connoisseur. The breadth of knowledge for those who haven't watched that episode, it's amazing. I have like a ton of questions for him because for me, I just watched season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian.
I'm so jealous of you. I'm so jealous that you got to binge watch season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just so jealous. I'm so jealous.
Dude, to watch that fresh. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We had to watch it week for week when it came out. You got to
And then wait, how many years has it been? 2 years?
2+ years.
Well, when did Boba Fett come out?
Boba Fett came out in
2021.
21.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
okay.
you guys have been waiting.
It's been waiting.
I'm telling you, that's why I'm a binge guy, so I wait for it all to be ready for me so I could just consume it in one night.
Yeah. Well, I guess let's jump in and let's see if the wait was worth it. I'll start. A little disappointed with this episode. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we could just start with the recap, to be honest with you. I mean, like we just watched it one time. We haven't gone back and double checked anything, but I'm pretty sure even in the recap, for people that didn't even watch, if you didn't watch Boba Fett and you jumped into this episode, you have no idea how Grogu got back with Din Djarin. You have no clue. All of a sudden, he's just hanging out with him.
Yeah, no spoilers here. Everybody who's listening has probably watched season 1 and 2. But last we saw, Joey, was Grogu was going with Luke to go get trained. And now, first episode here, it's boom.
He's in the ship. He's in the ship with them.
Yeah.
And there you go.
You know?
And then they're also probably wondering where he got the ship. Because I don't think that was in the recap either.
You're not doing a lot of bounties on this ship.
Yeah, it's surprising, but you know, I guess it's safe to assume if you were into season 1 or if you were into Mandalorian, you would have jumped onto Boba Fett and you would have watched it all the way through.
And I think that's why a lot of people were calling, Boba Fett Mandalorian season 2.5 because there was so much of the Boba Fett show revolved around. I mean, it was 3 episodes were all Mandalorian, basically.
Well, 2 episodes were all Mandalorian. The last episode, or episode 7, was a joint effort.
Totally.
Right. But episode 5 was just Mandalorian. And then you did see Boba Fett at the end of episode 6. And then it was a joint effort from 7. But
amazing. It's your own show and you're getting a cameo. That's how they're doing it?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. People were a little shocked that all of a sudden it became a Mandalorian show. I mean, look, Boba Fett. I mean, this isn't a podcast about Boba Fett. It's a podcast about Mandalorian. But we could pretty much put Boba Fett in that category a little bit. But we could just safely say Boba Fett falls off a little bit midway through, and then I feel like Din Djarin comes in and saves him, and then fixes the show, and then all of a sudden everything is right as rain.
Absolutely.
But
and it led into. It led into this episode for sure. Especially, it's like you see him in the ship.
This episode was weird though.
It was. It was too set up too, and going back to it's 2 years since we have a Mandalorian episode. Yeah. You get Boba in the middle with a little bit of Mando here, but to then jump into this episode, it's the shortest live action Disney Star Wars that we've got. Shortest episode.
It was like 35 minutes.
35 minutes.
Jeez.
And they didn't really give us a whole lot. They really should have dropped 2 episodes.
Yeah.
They should have given us this, and then they should have given us like a banger of a second episode right along with it.
They should have. I mean,
because here we are, 1 a.m., waited for it, and now here we are.
But I get to hang out with you guys and drink a bunch of wine and talk shit, so I love it.
Well, this is great.
So let's just talk about how the episode actually starts, okay? So the episode starts with what I presume to be a flashback, right? Because you see this kid. You see, what's her name? The
armorer.
The armorer.
Mm-hmm.
She's sitting there making a helmet for this little kid, and then she goes out, and the kid kind of looks like Din Djarin, right?
Yeah,
no bet.
I thought it was a flashback because why all of a sudden are they Last time we saw her, it was just her and what's that other guy's name? The big dude.
Oh, one of the ancestor of the Vizsla clan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was just the two of them,
Tar
right?
Vizsla? I forget his name.
Yeah, they were on this Halo wannabe, city,
Planet.
right? And then that's the last we saw of that of her. So you're just kind of assuming now that you see her again, she has all these other Mandalorians with her, and
It felt like a flashback.
It totally
It did.
felt like a flashback. And then you kind of thought that they were baiting the kid maybe for some food.
Yeah, right.
Did it seem like that? Like maybe they got her out there, maybe got the kid out there, and then the giant alligator just comes,
shit.
right? And then kind of comes out of nowhere. It's like, all right, let's get the guns out. Let's
Who
get some
chose
meat.
this location? That's what I want to know.
It's messed up, right?
Like, you don't
think?
know that's in there? Like, when you're going to
Yeah.
do your ceremony?
Yeah, come on.
Right? Oh man, no, the Lake Placid, like,
Kind of a throwback to Mando season 1, though, like the first episode when they were on the
It
ice
is,
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
big ice creature came out. They were even
Yeah.
talking about it the whole time, and then
Right.
Homie comes out and eats that guy.
Yeah, there wasn't it? That's
Yeah.
pretty good. That's pretty good. But then, it ends up not being a flashback. All of a sudden, Djarin shows up, and he's got his brand new Naboo starfighter.
Saves the day.
Blows the thing up and pops out, and then he's got Grogu.
Yeah.
That whole opening scene just felt weird. It also felt too long, too. Didn't that little battle thing just feel a little long?
Yeah, a little bit. Just for what they were trying to achieve there, it did.
Yeah. Anyways, it's sad because it's a 35-minute episode. You wanted it to start with like an absolute banger, and I don't know. It's just a letdown. But anyways,
Yeah, and I get you have to tell a little bit of backstory, but then I feel like even when they got to Navarro, it was a little, I don't know, it was a little drawn out, and like I'm glad they,
A little nostalgic there.
yeah, I'm glad they brought up like how they took care of Cara Dune's character,
Yeah, how they
Yeah.
wrote her off.
she gets,
'cause
she
they
gets a
had-
promotion in a way.
Yeah,
Gets
'cause
recruited.
Special ops, right?
Yeah,
What was that?
exactly. Special forces. And they had to clarify. That was a big thing with this show is how are you going to deal with her character? Because she was a big character. People loved her.
Yeah.
And how are you going to deal with the fact that
She was supposed to have a
now
spin-off.
not- Exactly.
Yeah.
Not only is that canceled, but now you have this character in the show that you have to deal with. So they addressed that, and they addressed Moff Gideon, right? Like first off right there in the same
Right.
sentence.
So hold on really fast, just to jump ship really quick into the different conversations. So you said her show is canceled, right?
Yeah.
There's no speculation that Timothy Oliphant's not going to take it over?
I have heard that, but it was just kind of like I've only heard it as like little flickers of rumors, which there's always flickers
I would
of rumors
love
in the
that
Star
rumor
Wars
if he does
universe,
take it
but
over.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
All right. Sorry to be to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're cool. I mean, I loved her character, and I feel like it's kind of absurd how she got canceled, and I feel like that one stings for me, but I'm glad they addressed it. I think they addressed it okay. Sure. She
Not
got
to-
special forces.
Not
Cool.
to get
She
too
got a
political,
promotion,
but I went back because we were talking about it the other night to see why did she get canceled again, and I don't know. Sometimes I think some of that stuff is a little overblown.
of course it is.
But it's the times we live in. Let me ask you a question because you brought off Goff Midian, and they kind of just wrote it off in like part of a monologue. Do you think that was justified? Because in season 2, he was and end of season 1, he's the big baddie, right? And to me, remember I just watched this fresh. The way he goes down in the last episode of season 2 was kind of like, I expected a little bit more. I wanted a little bit more, right? And then now they give me just a quick little write-off. For your big baddie, I think he kind of deserved more, and I love the actor. Do you think that it was justified the way how, I don't want to say, Mando took him down easily, but it was kind of a little letdown of him coming down, because the end of that episode was really Luke taking down those dark troopers. That was really the big home run.
I think there was ego involved with Moff Gideon, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think he knew those dark troopers were going to be there, and he didn't anticipate a Jedi coming, let alone Luke coming.
Oh, he was playing. He was playing them.
He was totally playing them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's my take on that.
But you're okay with the way they just wrote him off? Like,
no, but I don't think this is the last we're going to see from
That's
him.
what
I
right?
think they were giving us a little food there, and I think they're leaving room to bring him back, later in this season. Bring something back.
See,
I don't think his character's done.
I'd be okay if his character's done. To be honest, and I'm going to say something that people might not be happy with. I would have been okay if Grogu's character was done. I think
really.
the way that season 2 ended with, Grogu finally going to a Jedi, not only just a Jedi, you going with like Luke Skywalker,
Yeah.
Riding off into the sunset with R2-D2. I think that quest should have just been done, right?
Oh,
I agree, actually.
And you're done with Grogu, you're done with Moff Gideon, you're done with that part. Now jump into the next part. You've already established things. You've met other Mandalorians. You now have the Darksaber. Now there's a whole, let's go take Mandalore now. Let's move on to another chapter. You don't need Moff Gideon for that. You don't need Grogu for that. And so I'm okay with no Moff Gideon, but now that you have Grogu back, maybe bring him back. I don't know.
No,
because you've captured him. He's gone. Move on.
And to your point, they made the last episode of season 2 so epic.
Yeah.
The music, the build up,
Everything.
Luke coming back, him
The
taking
fighting.
Grogu, everything, right? And then this is the first scene we get. It's just Grogu back, and I feel like you kind of take away from what they did at that final episode of season 2.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of takeaway from that.
That's why it was really surprising when you're watching Boba Fett, and then all of a sudden, we're gonna go see. I mean, I love the episode where they go and they visit, or when Din Djarin goes and visits Luke Skywalker, and then you see Ahsoka
Oh man,
and you see Grogu, and I love that whole episode. But then it was like, then the next episode, Grogu's now back with Mando, and then we're just, going on a new adventure.
Yeah,
it takes way too much of it.
It does.
So you really wanted the show to go on a path, instead of it, I don't know if you want to call it a buddy or a father-son kind of relationship, theme of the show, this space western. You wanted it to go now towards Mando basically finding a way to power.
Yeah,
that's where you want it to go.
Well, I mean, why not?
I don't disagree with that, but
you put
knowing the mouse loves those kind of.
They could even take They could even take this episode, season 3, episode 1. They could take this episode. You didn't need Grogu in this episode. Yeah, think about it. I mean, if you just removed him from the episode and he was with Luke, they could even be doing flashbacks, or not flashbacks, but they could be doing, what's Grogu? Exactly. Mm-hmm. What are Grogu and Luke doing?
Yeah, that would have been great.
They could have been doing all of that. So
I would have liked it.
That would have been awesome. And I'm sure they're going to do great with this, but I agree with that, with this huge buildup you have at the end of season 2, I could have done without Grogu in this.
Yeah.
It's a shame because Grogu makes the most money, I'm sure.
Of course he does.
That's what I said.
Yoda,
that's what I'm saying. The mouse, that's not what, that's not in their agenda right now.
It makes you wonder if there was a conversation with, Disney and Favreau and Filoni where they're kind of like, all right, he's not really gone, is he? Like after they actually saw or like they read the script, like we're not really getting rid of this cash cow because there's more money to be made here.
KK sat them down and was like, hey, check it out. That was fine.
Yeah.
But he's coming back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's coming back.
Right.
We'll give you a couple of episodes, but after that,
Uh-huh.
back.
Let's talk about some other weird stuff really quick. So I also thought was really weird is now we have to get the robot back.
IG.
Yeah, IG. That wasn't that a little weird?
1811, whatever it was.
Din has always had his weird thing with droids, but
doesn't like them.
No, he doesn't.
But to go that far to like, all right, this droid's should have been blown up. There shouldn't even have been pieces of the droid.
No, he was in lava and he blew up.
I thought that was great that they had a statue of him. And then Max, you pointed out that he's standing on top of Stormtrooper helmet,
which was dope.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah,
that was cool.
But I agree. I don't know if they did it just to go back to Navarro, but it was kind of. And you can see the transformation over the couple of years from season 1, a seedy, town, and now it looks like utopia almost.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah. So it was just weird.
Carl knows what he's doing there.
He's a great politician.
Carl Weathers. Love that
great
guy.
golf instructor, and now we know he
shows up to the school at the bar. Okay, kids, you just gotta tap it in. You just gotta tap it in.
Tap-a-roo. Now I liked the IG character a lot.
I did too.
And I get the wanting to bring him back aspect of it. I think it's again one of those things like they could have done without it. Yeah, I think they could have.
It seemed like they were just showing like too much of a struggle to bring this character back to a point where it didn't even happen in the first episode. Yeah, like he just says, all right, just put the body back together. I'll go get the memory chip, and then we're going to drag this on again. I'll show back up in episode 3 or 4 with this memory chip, and we can just go from there.
And like Westerns, a lot of this is a space Western, and a lot of the episodes and the seasons, it's, kind of recreating a Magnificent Seven kind of thing where you get a lot of odd characters to come and, execute on one specific thing.
Right.
And it's,
which is kind of what they did
that's
at
the
the end
formula.
of, end
they
of
did
season
it all.
2.
Season 1 too. It's the same thing. It's like a group of characters.
You're
Let's
right.
go do the task. And I thought they were going to kind of go away from that moving forward to season 3, because you kind of, I don't want to say you've done it to death already, but you've done it to death already in 2 seasons. It's time for you to kind of like expand the story, and there's other kinds of Westerns here. And look, the first episode to me is like they're going right back to him, accumulating pieces of characters for episode 7 and 8 for them to accomplish something big. Like I don't like when writers kind of do that kind of, I know it's a cookie cutter industry, but like you've done this for 2 seasons now. You don't need to do it again. Like the story has enough merit now, for legs. You don't need him to have 4 or 5 characters that are spread across the universe to help him go to Mandalore to establish a throne or restore his honor, whatever his mission is for the season. So
I guess
I was disappointed in that.
Well, I guess if you're gonna do it, I guess start with the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because the second visit was Bo-Katan. It wasn't, it's I just can't get over it. It just seems odd to go get the robot. You know what I mean?
It did. It did. And then they had to, of course, you need help with the robot? Well, go to the droid mechanics, and you got now the Babu
Bubba Frick
species.
We don't actually know if it was Bubba Frick.
No.
Bubba Frick? How you say his name?
Babu Frick.
Babu Frick. That's right,
Yeah.
Babu Frick.
But it's just but you know what? It's just a little tie into like I feel like there's like, again, this thing where I don't know if it's, I doubt it's Filoni and Favreau, but it's like this little tie into the sequel trilogy, which is fine.
Because Kennedy probably had a conversation with him like, hey,
Grogu's coming back, and
no, I get, they had a conversation with him after season 1. They're like, hey, since you're doing such a great job with this, can you kind of like fix some things that we messed up in the sequels? Sure. What do you need? You need a Snoke in a tub somewhere? Like, we could throw that. You want to talk about some more cloning things? We can get that in there. Sure, no problem.
Now, the one thing I do, one thing I personally really like about where they're going with this season of Mandalore, and a lot of it, like I've read all like the old Republic books, where they go back 4,000 years before the Skywalker era, and like Mandalore and Mandalorians were badass. You have like Darth Ravon, and it's a whole like, Mandalorian Jedi kind of thing. And so I really like that they're taking this kind of in a direction of bringing a little bit more Mandalorian lore to the show versus just, it's been called The Mandalorian.
Really,
exactly. But it's just been about this one Mandalorian, Din Djarin. But they're going to start really bringing in, I think, in this season, this whole thing with the world. I'm really excited to see what goes down on Mandalore and in the Springs. Like, I think they're going to take this in a really cool direction. And I know, like, this first episode, I think kind of not just with the 3 of us was a little bit of a letdown. I think it's going to be like this in the community, but I think what they're staging is going to be really cool. That's kind of why I wish they dropped the second episode. Drop something good.
Or to your point, or extend this episode, because usually, like, the formula for this show is, he's going somewhere to get something, and then they're like, I'll give you this, but I need your help with that.
Sure.
This now is he needs, what was it, a chip or a board?
Memory chip.
A memory chip. So show us him going to get the memory chip. Now we got to wait for episode 2 for the memory chip.
Yeah.
Like, usually you just tie that into the same episode.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I wouldn't even be shocked if we don't see them, if we don't hear about the memory chip for like another 2 or 3 episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he has to go do a job before to get the memory chip.
Yep. And that's going to be the whole next episode is the job.
The job.
Yeah.
It's a drag on.
That was it. But I definitely want to go down the path of, like you were saying, like what's going on in Mandalore and the previous history. Because you mentioned the name. What was the name? Darth who?
Ravon.
Okay, you got to tell people who don't know.
So this is Old Republic. So this is going back, for like 4,000 years before the Skywalker, saga essentially. And he was a Jedi that turned to the dark side. There was this huge war. He went back to the light side. I mean, it was this whole story. And I actually hope that they take the franchise in that direction moving forward, like with the next set of trilogies. Like if they want to leave this whole thing, they could go back and there's endless content and awesome stories that they've already kind of laid the groundwork for. But he was a Mandalorian, and there was a bunch about Mandalore, and the Darksaber and the Vizsla clan. Like this all goes back that far. And so the fact that they're diving deeper into this, I think, is a really, really cool aspect of Star Wars that we're getting into on this show. Again, it's been called The Mandalorian, but it's just been about Din Djarin, and I think it's cool they're taking it actually to the planet, to these old clans, you know, elaborate on Bo, this whole thing. It's going to be really cool.
So Grogu is that, you know, Mandalorian Jedi. Is he going to get a little armor?
Hey, man, hey, they could.
Can you imagine what his helmet's going to look like? So like a little
with
mini,
the ears,
little mini jetpack,
dude.
Yeah,
think about the ears.
But he could. I mean, he could essentially be, you know, they could take this in the direction of trying to make Grogu like the next Jedi Mandalorian.
Well, he's got to learn how to speak English first.
He does.
Yeah, and then we can move from there.
He's only 50 or 52 now.
That's it. Yeah, or 52.
He doesn't know how to put syllables together.
Yeah, he still kind of just grunts at everyone,
Right?
And wants to eat frogs.
All right. Well, let's talk about what else happens. So we see these pirates kind of show up, kind of mess with Carl Weathers.
Yeah,
and I actually like that scene because we knew it was going to lead to something else later. Like you knew like it couldn't just like, you know, kill these guys and then that would be the end of it. And I thought it was actually pretty cool. We got to see I like the space battle. I love the fact that they're going through all like the asteroids and stuff. And he's kind of hiding like a ninja and then kind of pops back out and kills one and then hides back in again.
It reminded me of the Kenobi and Jango Fett scene.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. When they went to
when they're going through the asteroids.
I know, but what planet were they going to? It was we had this problem.
It's always Tatooine.
No.
I'm joking.
No.
Geonosis.
Geonosis.
I know.
Geonosis.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I was thinking the same thing too. Yeah.
It had that vibe. They were like doing that whole kind of, you know, that cat mouse chase.
That's one thing we didn't do. We didn't do season 1 and 2, but that's one thing I love about this show. The action, the fighting, the gun work, the sword play, all the action aspects of the show is top notch.
It looked really good. Too.
Yeah, it looks really good. Like I really appreciate it when they go full on Star Wars. They do it really well. This show,
absolutely,
it's really really impressive.
Yeah, production value.
Yeah, production value.
Yeah. Well, I love the space battle, but then it led into the scene after that when we got to see Bo-Katan for the first time this season, because the first episode, kind of a disappointment, right?
She's just sitting there.
She's sitting there,
she's
just
depressed.
like she's depressed. She doesn't have her army anymore. She lost her fleet that she was stealing. Like she's got nothing now because no one would follow her because she didn't have the Darksaber.
Well, she talked it up like I'm gonna bring it, right? Obviously, we didn't see it, but so we're assuming, right? But she talked it up like I'm gonna come back with it. I'm gonna bring us to promise, and then a big whoop whoop whoop. I don't have it.
I still think she would still have followers though, because she had followers before she had the Darksaber.
You know,
right? But she used the Darksaber talk to get those followers. You know, you don't see this on camera, but that's
right.
What you
but
assume,
she did
right?
help get the Darksaber in a way. She helped Din Djarin get onto the ship, right?
Yeah.
And created the distraction so he could beat Moff Gideon. So I would still think that would give her some clout, right?
Well, but the thing is, she specifically said multiple times, Moff is mine.
That's right.
She was
and
creating
the
distraction so Din could get the child, not so Din could get Moff. I feel like that was actually part of Moff's plan.
Yeah.
Because he knew
hold
Mandos.
But hold on a second though. But isn't Mandalorians, they have different factions, right?
Absolutely.
But wasn't the idea of the Darksaber to bring all the factions together to unify the Mandalorians? So
yes.
if she already has one faction, she should already be ruling that faction. She's trying to rule all the factions, right? Well, and that's what the power of the Darksaber, the story of the Darksaber.
It basically makes you in control, but just because you have the Darksaber doesn't mean that your goal is to unite all the factions. Because like before her, pre-Vizsla from the Clone Wars, he had the Darksaber. He was Death Watch. He was not trying to unite all the factions. He was trying to be like very much like, you know, Death Watch, you know, power basically.
Right. But
like,
she is, because she says that she's trying to retake Mandalore.
Yeah.
But it's all
To
kind of
restore.
with ego too, right? And I feel like
Oh, totally, yeah.
and to Max's point, her leading her little group, and it's all about this, and then she doesn't get the darksaber. Din does, and then she doesn't challenge Din on the spot.
Right there.
Who cares if he's another Mandalorian? He has the darksaber. It's right in front of you. Challenge him. And she didn't do that. And they're not explaining any of this, so we're having to totally read it in between the lines. But you can kind of gather that she's definitely butthurt, and she's definitely like turned. Like she was an asset, and she was on the same team as everybody. And now you almost get the vibe like she's not necessarily on Din's team right now.
Yeah.
And she could actually be, come maybe a little bit of an enemy in the show. They could spin this way too.
Well, I think if she was, she would have challenged him right then and there. Because it was just him and Grogu.
I think she might know she's going to get her ass whooped.
Maybe. I think she's too conceited to think that, though. I think she's too full of herself to think she could.
She was full of herself. She's a princess, right?
Yeah, she's a princess. I don't think she. I think.
They were definitely giving her grief. Like, okay, you went to the control room to fight him. He's not there. What did you do after? Did you leave? Did you go find him? No. She just hung out waiting.
Yeah.
Like if I was a follower, I'd be like, okay, he wasn't there. How come you didn't go looking for him?
That's true.
Like you just stayed
I didn't even think of that. That is true.
And I do appreciate these little cliffhangers because now here we are, like thinking through all. And they could take this in a lot of really cool ways.
Let's talk about where we think where Din Djarin's going to go here. All right, so this episode's a little bit of a letdown. We didn't have it wasn't the banger hit we were looking for. Just to recap what happens in the show, he meets up with his old clan. He says that he's going to go, bathe in the waters on Mandalore, the mines of Mandalore, to get his, get the status back of being able to keep his helmet on and call himself a Mandalorian.
Is that what they're calling
He's technically not considered a Mandalorian right now because he took his helmet off.
Keep your helmet off then for right now. You might as well get a tan.
Right?
See some people. Let them see you. If you already know that you're gonna ask for redemption at some point anyways, you're gonna ask for forgiveness. Take advantage of the situation. You know what I mean? Anyways.
It's not how Din rolls, man.
Apparently not. He's too good of a guy, if you think about it.
He's too on the straight and narrow.
Too good of a guy.
Well, he should have told him he took his mask off, his helmet off twice then, if he was that good. He only said yes, he
about
did.
That one time.
But it's interesting that he doesn't, because he does touch, like when he's having a conversation, like he talks about the differences between the Jedi and the differences between the Mandalorians. How the Jedis have to get rid of attachment, right? Get rid of their feelings or whatever the case is. Mandalorians, they live their creed by that, by attachments and love and like honor and all that kind of shit. He takes his helmet off for a youngling. He takes his helmet off for, in a way, their people, right? Because isn't Grogu considered
he's a foundling,
or a foundling, and not a youngling, a foundling. I guess he could be both, right?
Yeah,
but he was but he does this for a foundling. So why wouldn't he at least say this to her? Hey, I took my helmet off, but it was to save the life of a foundling.
Because she's all about Mandalore and Mandalorians, whereas he was raised by Death Watch. And so Death Watch, they did things completely different. They didn't live by this, I have to keep my helmet on at all times.
Wait, who are we talking about? Talking about Din Djarin, right?
Din Djarin.
Okay.
Because he was found by the Death Watch clan. And they were like kind of this different sect of Mandalorians that did kind of their own thing. Whereas the Armorer, she's like, by the book, I'm holding the Mandalore Bible here, and you took your fucking helmet off, so you're no longer a Mandalorian. But then you have Bo on the other hand. She never has her helmet on, and if she had the darksaber, she'd be coming after the throne. She'd be trying to take over, and basically trying to lead Mandalore. So there's all these different kind of schools of thought within this Mandalorian culture. Din's very much like the Armor by the book. Shit, I took my helmet off. I gotta go get redemption.
But you don't think there's not like a, like a loophole, or there's not like in case you can get by with it if you're saving someone's life, or okay.
I don't know, man. I think this is where it's
now we're pushing a little too much.
So for those who don't know, why aren't they supposed to take their helmets off, that sect? Do they ever say?
I don't know. That's just
they don't.
To my knowledge, that's just always been kind of a Mandalorian, like a true Mandalorian thing, is that you don't remove your helmet. But when Mandalore got broken up, all of these different, all these different groups split off, and everybody kind of then took on their own set of beliefs and values and rules. And I think the true Mandalorian, belief is that you don't remove your helmet.
Okay. I don't feel as bad for not knowing.
Yeah.
Well, okay, since you read more books than I have, when they talk about Mandalorians, was this a new thing that Favreau and Filoni added when they actually did the Mandalorian show?
No.
This was already a thing prior to that. Because I don't remember this ever. I mean, because I watched the Clone Wars and I watched Rebels and stuff like that. And there's Mandalorians. They pop up in ever so often. I don't remember them ever showing a clan that doesn't take their helmets off.
Because this was after the big split of Mandalore. The planet got completely taken over once the Empire took over, but the Mandalore has been split since before the Clone Wars.
Right. They show the split. Well, they talk about the split during the Clone Wars.
Like with Duchess Satine.
Right, but they don't ever talk about a clan that doesn't take their helmets off, though. Did I miss that, or did they?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't really know 100% to answer that question wholeheartedly.
But that was already written before.
Totally.
Okay.
Totally
All
before.
right.
Now, to piggyback on that, again, for those who don't know, i.e. me.
I was going to say that. Just say you.
In season 1, they were hiding, right? In the sewers of Navarro. Why are they hiding? Why is that group hiding?
Because when the Empire took over, they wiped Mandalore completely out. That's why
I know that.
That's why the armor didn't even. But
the Empire's fallen now for 5 years. Why are they still hiding?
Nah, actually,
that's a good question.
That is a good question.
I didn't even think about that.
I always wondered. I'm like, why are you guys hiding in the sewer?
But I think it's just like I don't know. Maybe it's just kind of how Jedi stand out like a sore thumb. I mean, if you have a Mandalorian, if you have Mandalorian
that's even worse.
On, you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb. But there's also on Navarro. Everybody on Navarro knew that there were still Empire ties.
Okay.
And so maybe they were in hiding because they knew that, and all it would take is for one of them to show, Mandalorian face, and if you had any snitch that saw you, they were gonna go rat you out.
But wait, they had a Mandalorian walking around taking bounties and stuff like that. He wasn't hiding.
Money.
Yeah,
That's
true. I don't know. I'm not sure. True.
What they were doing is they were waiting to find the perfect planet that was desert but had a lake with a giant alligator in it
to do their ceremonies.
They just hadn't found it yet, so they were just hiding in the sewers, just waiting for that opportunity.
These are good. This is a good question. I feel like this warrants further investigation because you're right.
I feel better now that I didn't know.
All right.
Again.
So let's speculate. All right. So what's Din Djarin's next move? All right. So he's leaving Bo-Katan. He says that he's going to go down to Mandalore, right? But we know he's not going there right now. Okay, because there's some reason he said he needs to bring the droid with him. He needs the droid with him to go down there. I don't know. He's going to do fossil samples or some
Wash
shit.
his back?
Fossils.
send him down there first and make sure he doesn't melt. I don't know what the deal is, but what do you think his next move is? Are we going to see a cameo of someone that's somebody special?
Well, I feel like we're going to see Boba. I feel like Boba's coming into the show at some point. I don't know how necessarily, but I feel like we're going to see him at
next
some point.
episode's back on Tatooine, your favorite planet.
Always.
Next episode's actually going to be only Boba. There's going to be no Mandalorian.
just to get back at him.
Yeah.
I'll take over your show for an episode.
Stole a couple episodes from me.
Yep.
But I feel like we could see him. I feel like we could see him in Fennec at some point. Maybe not now. Maybe when he needs help. Further in this season. But I think the big thing here is going to be between him and Bo. And I feel like the tension that we saw, with him and Bo in this episode, I feel like that's going to be the big tension. Unless they decide to bring in, which I feel like they totally could, they bring in something big. They could bring something big into this episode that could lead into the Ahsoka show. If they even remotely want to bring in and do something crazy, like touching on Thrawn or something big like that.
Right.
Because we can we could already talk and speculate where this is going to go. Cool. He's going to get to the springs. He's going to,
bumps into Sabine.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, what you doing over there with all that cool armor?
Yeah.
Want to come join me for a little bit?
Yeah.
Go down to Mandalore.
But you know what I mean? They're already kind of setting it up. So I feel like they have to throw a curveball in at some point. He's going to go on this journey. He's going to go to the springs. He's going to have to, do whatever he needs to do, bathe in the springs so he can become a Mandalorian again. Cool. But he still has the Darksaber. Bo's still after you. We can already guess that. And I feel like they're going to take some of that guesswork out, and there's going to be something big that comes in. That's what my gut tells me.
So, you think we're done with Luke in this show?
No, not necessarily. And I think that's the thing.
That Luke will show up.
I think they're going to connect all of this, though. The fact that they put, Ahsoka, Luke, Boba, and Mandalorian in one episode all together, they all are going to be doing something together. And I feel like what that
big,
leads,
though.
and I think that
taking back Mandalore would be pretty big.
Taking back Mandalore is huge, but it's not going to come. They're not just going to be able to take it back without something big.
Okay, I'm kind of curious what that big thing is going to be.
So am I.
Okay,
and I don't know, just because I know the Ahsoka show's coming, and
when does that come? Did they put a date on that yet?
I don't know if they put a specific date. It's either going to be look it up. I feel like I remember hearing it's either like fall of this year or it's going to be spring of next year. But
it's this year.
Then it's going to be fall because they've been talking about rolling out that and Acolyte.
I believe it's supposed to be 3 shows this year.
An artwork for Acolyte.
Dude, Acolyte's
today.
Sick.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be 3 shows this year. It's supposed to be Mandalorian, Acolyte, and ahsokatano is supposed to come out this year. And then it's 2 MCU shows this year.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's scheduled. They still have it as the 23rd, 2023, obviously, but they don't have quite the date yet.
They're going to give us
What about Acolyte? Do they have Acolyte on there?
Next year.
Acolyte is next year. I thought Acolyte's this year.
I think it's next year.
Oh, so it's only 2 Star Wars shows and then this year.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to give us Acolyte this year.
Yeah, I just saw an artwork.
They're going to give
Twitter,
us Visions
this week.
They're going to give us Visions, but
yeah, I mean, I like Visions, but I mean, to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind actually some Jedi Tales again.
Oh, dude, Jedi Tales.
I like
awesome.
Jedi Tales a lot.
They should do Sith Tales next.
That'd be pretty cool.
I'll be down for that.
Be sick.
That'd be way cool. I liked. I mean, I know that's not the show, but I love Jedi Tales so much that it made me get more appreciation for Count Dooku.
Totally.
Because I was kind of like never like a big huge fan of Dooku, but then when I saw like his origin, like kind of like not his origin, but kind of like the stepping pieces to have him go to the dark side.
They bring some relatability.
I thought that was pretty awesome.
Well,
yeah,
I think they give you. It's not just like it wasn't just a turn to the dark side. It was a turn away from the Jedi and what was standing there with open arms.
Right.
Palps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this whole, that whole thing. So,
So do you think this show is destined for? Remember Arnold Schwarzenegger, Conan the Barbarian?
Yeah.
How he eventually, gets the throne, but he doesn't really want to because of the stuff he does. Is this what's going to happen here? Is this where we're leading? Where Mando is going to ascend to the throne without wanting to ascend to the throne?
I don't know, man.
I think so. I think that makes
that's
sense.
like the Conan thing, gets the sword, beats the right person, not intentionally, didn't want the throne, but he got the throne.
Or at some point, Bo-Katan actually does challenge him, and he kind of throws the fight.
I think Mandalorian
in front of people, so that way that they could see that she is the one to lead them.
And I
can see that
if he throws the fight, that strips her of winning.
No,
really,
Moff Gideon says it. It's not the actual saber that gives her power. It's the story. If people see him lose to her, regardless if he throws it or not, it's still going to empower her. It's not like it's not going to obviously she's not going to have power because he did throw it. People will see it and she'll be able to lead.
Okay, I don't think it's happening this season.
No, I think it's something you build up to.
Well,
right?
what I'm going to say, I don't think this is going to happen this season, obviously, because I think they're going to have multiple seasons. Mando, in my opinion, I think he has to die at some point. I don't think that he can. I don't think there can be an ending where it's him on the throne with Grogu sitting next to him. I think all of this has to end with an epic death of sacrifice for
pure
Grogu.
Western.
A pure Western.
Nah, I don't think they kill him.
I think at the end of this, whenever it is, Mando's dying. I'm gonna call that right now.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he has to die.
Well, we'll make sure we mark this. So 7 years from now.
Yeah, right.
You think like
Joey,
7 years?
he's still around. He's the perfect. I mean, he's the perfect character because even if what's his name doesn't want to do it anymore, guy has a mask on all the time. You can have anybody play Mando, and it wouldn't even matter.
Yeah.
Well,
you can keep him
they've
going
shown
forever.
his face enough for
Well, but now
weird.
he can't take
Not
it
if
off.
he bathes in the whatever.
He's gonna find another excuse to take it off.
I can't believe that Disney's not pushing that to take his mask off more.
Okay, I
And now that he's an
thought
actual,
I
now he's a
heard-
big star now. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, now let's take that. Forget all this stuff that the Mandalorian has to keep his mask on the entire time.
Mhm.
He's got Grogu. You're not putting a mask on him. He's met other Mandalorian. They're pretty cool. Let's go chill with them. This armory girl's kind of a little mean.
Yeah,
to be
she
honest
is.
with you, like, oh, you took your mask off. Get out of here.
This is not the way.
It's not. You're not.
Yeah, this is not
Take
the
your
way.
light. Take your dark saber and get out of here.
Yeah, right.
Like, now that you have these other people that you know that's not the only way. You know,
Mm.
we can take our mask off and have conversations and, you know, wash our face ever so often. I think, why wouldn't you? If you got a star now, because I don't think he wasn't a big star in the first season. Even when he took his mask off the first time, my wife, she made a comment, like, I was kind of expecting like some kind of a movie star. Now you got a movie star.
Unless
right?
you watch Game of Thrones, which he wasn't really even in Game of Thrones.
She
that
didn't,
much.
she didn't,
Killed it that
she didn't watch
season.
Game of Thrones.
He did. He got his head crushed
He
too.
killed it that
Yeah,
season.
he killed it because he got cocky and then he got killed.
Yep.
We jumping ship here.
There we are.
Anyway, so
I think though where this season has to go is this has to take us to something, I think, just broad and big. This has to take us to something big, and it's going to have to take us into Ahsoka, into the next level of things. You know, this is a show. This isn't going to be the final season. I think this season is going to be all about taking us to the next big thing.
Do you have any
Well, like,
speculation
kind
on
of way
who the
that's-
big bad guy is?
I think it
Because Moff
has to
Gideon
be
kind of came out of nowhere.
It has to be Thrawn.
Mhm.
I think it has to be Thrawn in the
at
unknown
Mandalore,
regions.
though?
No, not on Mandalore, but I think there has to be some sort of tie-in. I think this whole thing of Mandalore is just that was the next direction. That's where they had
Sure.
to take this thing, but I don't think that's where this is going. I don't think the rest of the seasons, however many seasons they do, is going to be about
we know
Mandalore.
there's at least 4 because Filoni already said that there 4 is written.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
and
yeah.
Favreau was making it sound like
Oh, I'm
you know,
sorry,
there's-
Favreau did. Favreau
yeah,
said that.
and
Yeah.
he made it sound like there's plenty more, and he made reference that they all are going to interconnect, which means if you're going to try and interconnect the Ahsoka show with this has to be more than Mandalore, or it at least has to tie into something that's greater than Mandalore. So that's where I feel like this is going. This is going to something big. This season's like going to be a stepping stone for some big
Gotcha.
shit.
They all end up on Jakku.
Tatooine, actually.
No, Jakku's the new Tatooine.
Yeah,
The
there you go.
Tatooine.
This is-
Didn't you get the memo?
Yeah, right.
All right.
That's cool. It's cool.
Okay, Max, what are you thinking?
No, I just want to. I really want to see how they're going to develop this. I don't want to see them. You know, I don't want to say recycle the same themes from season 1 and 2, which it looks like this episode is doing. I hope they don't do that because, like you said, there's so much. They have so much runway. They can go in so many amazing directions. Like, don't be lazy. You know, my whole take with a lot of don't be lazy with the writing. Like, be bold.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing.
Sure. And I think it's like they're writing it like for television. So
Yeah.
there's going to be some of this, but I personally have faith in Favreau and Filoni. So like,
I mean,
This-
they've been knocking out of the park so far.
Out of
so
the park.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robbie, where do you think this is going to go?
I mean, I agree with Max, and I think it's going to end up with Din Djarin being in a position to rule Mandalore, or at least rule. I would say like an army of Mandalorians or something like that,
Yeah, I like that.
and he's going to have to make a decision whether to follow through with it or not. And I think he's going to somehow figure out a way to pass the baton over to Bo-Katan.
Oh, this guy. Okay.
Reluctantly, he leads them to battle, but after that, pass the baton.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to
I
happen.
like that. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? You just saying that kind of like I had a flash. So what if this season is all about him doing just that and getting this like army of Mandalorians to get behind him? And what if that's the army and that's the muscle that's called in to help Ahsoka with Thrawn when all
Okay.
of that comes?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I think so,
nice.
'cause
Tie it on nicely.
maybe
Tie it in
that's
nicely.
how they'll tie it in is like him reuniting Mandalorians, and the Mandalorians are what help Ahsoka, who's a rogue quote unquote Jedi,
Right.
take down Thrawn, who's in the unknown regions, who's been growing in power, who knows? I think they're gonna link that to like the whole Palpatine, like out on Exegol. I
Yeah.
think they could do this whole thing, which you know
Fix
what I
it.
mean?
Just,
Well,
like,
just
fix it.
exactly.
And then you find out that Luke Skywalker was actually
This
frozen,
fucking guys,
and
this
the one that's been running around is
His
a clone of him.
Bring the clone back.
And then the one that died was actually the clone. And then then that's what happens in like the spinoff show with Rey, where she actually finds the frozen real Luke Skywalker. You could just keep going and going. Let's not do it. Let's not do it. Question: is Sabine related to Bo-Katan, or is she part of the same clan?
No,
she's not.
No, not Sabine. No. Duchess Satine was
that's right. That was her
Bo's
sister. Was her sister.
That's
right.
who Obi-Wan was in love with. She was.
No, I remember that now.
Yeah.
What was Sabine's? What was her family? Wasn't her family also like? Didn't she have her own clan as well?
Yeah, I don't remember her clan off the top of my head, but yeah,
Right.
Sabine had her own separate clan, and I don't.
And Sabine's the one that gave the Darksaber to Bo-Katan
in Rebels.
Yeah. Right? Okay. Because I think the big connection there is also going to be Sabine. So because so I think somehow to be honest with you, I wouldn't be shocked if we see Sabine first in Mandalorian season 3 before we see her in Ahsoka.
In Ahsoka?
Why not?
That would be cool.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Because she's obviously doing her own thing. Because we've seen
cast her.
We've seen Ahsoka twice, once in Mandalorian season 2 and then once in Boba Fett. And Sabine's nowhere to be seen, so she's obviously doing her own thing.
True.
Why isn't she with some other faction of Mandalorians?
Yeah, that would be really cool. Actually,
that would tie it in really.
Yeah, that would be beautiful if they brought it in before they brought her into Ahsoka. That would be cool. See, and then it's like we could have kind of a bunk episode 1, but then like talking about this, like I'm excited.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like this gets me like ready for season 2.
Yeah,
or episode 2.
Yeah.
Episode 2.
Did you check to see how long episode 2 is going to run for?
No, did you?
I will now.
Let's hope longer than 35 minutes. Again, like you can give us the 35-minute episode 1, but at least drop episode 2. And they just did that with Bad Batch. Plus, they gave us 2 episodes in the middle of Bad Batch. Like I feel like they really should have given us 2 episodes here.
Yeah, you guys know how I feel. I want it all, so I can be the judge of streaming it all at once because I'm a nut.
The only thing we actually learned from this episode, I mean, really, that I think is relevant to anything moving forward in this season is that he needs a droid and Bo-Katan's mad. I mean, really, that's it. If you think about it.
Yeah.
That's relevant, right?
Yeah.
No runtime yet. I can't find it on there, but
they're not like HBO where they're just like, this is what we're going to do the entire season. Here's the name of all of our episodes for The Last of Us.
Yeah, no.
I think
chapter numbers.
I think all of them will be longer than this.
They should be, yeah.
They all will be.
Next one's 20 minutes.
Yeah. Stop it.
Oh geez, they couldn't get Pedro because he's too busy on The Last of Us to come in and like just do voiceover work.
That's
like,
the real reason the helmet's not coming off this season.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
And they just do it. All right. I think this is a good time to wrap this episode up.
For sure.
All right. I think this is a good. At least this is a good start on the podcast as far as talking about, season 3 of Mandalorian. I'm super excited to go through this venture with you guys. I love Star Wars. One of my favorite things to do is actually have conversations about like what they've screwed up, what they've done right, where they're going to go, what I hope they're going to do, how to fix this, how to fix that. I mean, Star Wars, they just make it so easy to have those conversations and to be able to sit here with you guys and actually talk about it. And then hopefully, get a community involved, send us some messages, let us know what they thought of the episode. I'd love to talk, like hear everybody else's thoughts and kind of like build off of that.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. So if anybody wants to send us a message, click the link down below. Go to Rot Your Brain Media. Is it info? What's our
info or email? Info at rotyourbrainmedia.com.
Info at rotyourbrainmedia.com. Let us know what you thought of the episode. What you think's going to happen.
I was just going to say, I'm interested to know what everybody thinks going to happen.
Yeah.
Where you think this is going to go.
Kyle, this is for you. Yeah, let us know what you think's going to happen.
Before you exit here, when I was looking up the runtime, Christopher Lloyd was in this episode. Was he the little builder guys, engineers?
Really?
Oh,
he's in there. He's billed. They didn't say what he was, but he's billed in there. Christopher Lloyd, yeah.
Wow.
As an actor or a producer? Because there's another Christopher Lloyd.
No. This is Marty Christopher Lloyd.
This is the
88 miles per hour Christopher Lloyd. Yeah.
All right. He just probably
He was probably the voice
what's
of
a good
the
joke
little.
there?
What
What's a
would they
good
call
joke
those little guys?
I don't know their species.
The Baba Fricks? The Baba
Fricks.
Fricks.
Hey, Baba Fricks.
Yeah.
Maybe that was him
I
talking.
doubt that's him. Maybe he's been the voice of the droid the whole time. We didn't know that.
the voice of which droid?
What's his? I always forget his number.
You don't mean the IG?
No,
IG.
the IG was what's that guy? The guy from Thor.
Oh yeah.
What's his name?
Oh, Taika Waititi.
Yeah, Taika Waititi. Yeah.
That's who that was.
All right. Well, maybe if anybody knows, they can. We'll probably figure it out.
It'll update itself because it's so fresh.
Right.
It'll update itself on the internet, and he'll justify the credit properly.
Yeah.
But he's in there.
Well, if anybody else figures it out before we do, send us a message. All right.
He's the new Nick Nolte for this season.
Oh,
Well, thanks for having me again, guys. Love this,
dude.
Oh, you better book your time because you're gonna be here every week.
I'm here.
You're what makes this episode or the Star Wars thing just flow a little bit easier.
I love it.
Max and I can just sit back and just listen to all the nerdy stuff you talk about, and I love it.
Drink wine and talk nerdy Star Wars. I dig it.
Yeah.
The Star Wars 2 episodes that you did were our highest streamed downloaded episodes.
Love that.
Still holds up. So.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Time to do the OG trilogy next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice little plug for Still Holds Up. So yeah, go check out the prequel. We did. It was. We did
two-part.
It was a two-part because we got really into it. But we talked about the prequel trilogy and if it aged well, if it got better because of stuff, the expanded universe that's out there right now with all the shows, the sequels, did the bad taste that some people had, has it gone away or is it now bigger? And it was also because, Joey's actually 10 years younger than us. So it was good to hear his perspective on what he thought of it being 10 years old and seeing it as opposed to us being 20 years old and seeing it. So
no, it was a good one. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a good fresh take.
Talk.
So go over there and check that out. Thanks for everybody for listening. Don't forget to help support us over on our Patreon page. And we will catch you next time.
Music composed by Kyle Torme. Additional bed music by Jason Zaffrey. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Extremist coverage of The Mandalorian. Subscribe to the Extremist podcast feed at rotyourbrainmedia.com/theextremist. Subscribe to Rot Your Brain Media feed at rotyourbrainmedia.com and support Rot Your Brain Media by visiting patreon.com/rotyourbrainmedia.